Hello, welcome to the channel if you're new, or welcome back to the channel if you've been here before. Please like, comment, and subscribe. In this one, I'm going to talk about age gaps in relationships. Age gaps in relationships. This one is a thing for society, like, oh, look at that. So the younger one looking at the older one, ew. The older one looking at the younger one, how dare you. The younger one looking at the older one, people think they just want the person for money. The older one looking at the younger one, people think they just want the person for sex. The younger one looking at the older one, of course they don't want you. They want young people. The older one looking at the younger one, get away from her, get away. That's the society's thought with this topic. And so I'm going to discuss it. What's really going on? What should be going on? Is it acceptable? How is it acceptable? What gap is acceptable? That's what I'm going to talk about. Genesis 17:17. So Genesis chapter 17, verse 17. Now I know some of you might be not Christian, but one, for those who are, and two, for the point, please hear me out. Genesis chapter 17, verse 17. Abraham fell face down. He laughed and said to himself, will a son be born to a man 100 years old? Will Sarah bear a child at the age of 90? Okay, so Abraham, Sarah's husband, what? He was 100 and she was 90? That's a 10-year gap. How dare Abraham? Oh, she just wanted him for money. No, wait a minute. You know the story of Abraham and Sarah. Nowhere was there anything about she wanted him for money. We know he was rich. If you read through, we can see that, and he and Lot had to part ways because there's such riches. But nowhere do we get the sense that she wanted him for money. But then nowhere do we get the sense that anyone said to Abraham, get away from her, she's too young, how dare you look at her, look how young she is. Robert. No, these were two consenting adults who happened to be 10 years apart. And it's not like they were 110 years apart. And even if they had been, this two consenting adults, we could look at the ew factor or whatever you want as another question. But my question is, are age gaps in themselves wrong? Is the age gap in itself wrong? People think so. Everybody listening is probably thinking in all caps 80 exclamation points after one word yelled in a bullhorn. People 10 miles away hear you. Yes. That's what all of you who are watching this video were thinking, wasn't it? How, look at Abraham and Sarah 10 years apart. I bet you were thinking that, weren't you? You can let me know in the comments. But that's the big question. Is the age gap in and of itself wrong? People think it is. That's why there's this video. And I believe that that's why the Bible mentions it here, because it knew that you and I in this society today or whenever you're listening to this would think that. And so it mentioned that that's what Abraham said to let us know that that's what their age gap was. 10 years, 1 decade. How could they get together? And so is an age gap in and of itself wrong? Let's see. Is in there. They got together. God brought them together. He wanted them to have Isaac together. No, an age gap in and of itself is not wrong. It's preference. Most people do not want an age gap of greater than 2 years older or younger than themselves, or however old they are. And we're talking about adults, so really adulthood starts at 18, but for the 2 years younger part, let's say you're 20. So 2 years older, the person's 22. 2 years younger, the person you might be looking at is 18. Okay, everyone's an adult. Next, they all consent. Okay, next. That's the preference. Most people want within 2 years of themselves. If they go greater to where people start thinking age gap, they would go 5 years. Most people aren't going greater than that if they do go an age gap, and that's the gap that they would go if they did gap. Within 2 years of themselves, older or younger, now technically that's a gap, but they're not thinking gap. They're just thinking, look, I'm interested in this person. That's your age group. No, an age gap in and of itself is not morally wrong, or however you want to think of it, like most people might think it is. Because all the examples I gave, there could be a 50-year age gap. It doesn't matter so long as there's 2 consenting adults. It doesn't matter she's 20, he's 70, or he's 20, she's 70. Is that do they prefer that? No. But that's 2 consenting adults. If there's an age gap, there's an age gap. If the age gap is that big, the age gap is that big. The age gap in itself is not morally wrong. It's that people prefer their own age, so that would be within 2 years of themselves. That is the answer to this question. Take it how you will. If you're gonna think the same thing, that's on you. If you're agreeing, you and how dare and all that, that's your opinion. But to answer the question, no, it is not morally wrong. You pick who you want to pick, so long as it's 2 consenting adults, and it doesn't matter if the age gap is 75 years to where one person is 20 and the other person is 95. Maybe there are some factors going on there, like maybe the one does want sex from the other, maybe the other does want money from the one. That's the next question, the next topic. But just looking at the age gap in and of itself, no, it is not wrong. 2 consenting adults. That is the answer to the question. Because how many of you are thinking, oh, gasp, Abraham was 10 years older than Sarah? What? When I read the verse, you could look up the verse yourself. Genesis 17:17 is what I read to you. You didn't know that, did you? How many people did? That might have been what you were thinking. What? 10 years? A decade? What? But there was the age gap. And there was that much of an age gap. An age gap in and of itself is not wrong. It's just, what do people prefer? And then the next question would be is, if and when there is an age gap, what are they really going for here? Hopefully, whatever the age gap, or if there's no age gap at all, you could have been born on the same day as each other, with one was born 1 hour after the other on the same day. Hopefully both love each other and that's why they got together. But whatever the age gap in and of itself is not wrong. It's just people prefer their own age. And the next question would be, what are they going for here? Is it love or not, or a mixture of that? That's the answer. I hope this was helpful, enlightening, helping to go less of a taboo. If it's still taboo, okay, fine. But just putting the thought out there, answering the question. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Thank you for keeping this in mind. Have a good day. Like, comment, and subscribe for more.